Oh man. So we have people from Greg and Ben, just so you guys know, I mean, we got Denver, California, Chicago, New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, Odessa, Texas. I mean, people from really all over the place. And I think what's really great specifically about this show is every investor from a mindset perspective needs to see that somebody else is doing something virtually, right? They hear Eddie and they see Eddie, and of course Eddie can do it. He's Eddie's speed, right? But when they see somebody else say, "Hey, look, we started this thing. I was a weatherman, and then I started wholesaling, and then I saw the light, and there was this other opportunity. And not only that, I decided to do it in a whole nother state." That is very encouraging, and it starts to help with suspending that disbelief that maybe this is something I could do too. Maybe this is the strategy that can help me reach that goal that I have. So I think that's super powerful.
Absolutely.
We did have a. Go ahead. What?
We had two puns on here to begin with. You talked about let's dig into it, right? And then Eddie, I don't know if it was Eddie or Greg that said something about plowing it, so it was, that's what it was.
I love it. Well, we had a quick question I wanted to go ahead and bring up. There was one who was talking about, are they buying low? And I'm what they're really referring to in the question, I'm assuming, is regarding the acquisition price, right? Are you buying it like a wholesaler? Are you buying it on terms? Are you offering both and whatever works for the seller? Kind of walk us through what you've had some success with and what you think's important in this market.
Yeah, I would say we started out, especially when we were wholesaling, we'd have to buy low, but now we buy based on value and what we can sell it for. So sometimes we can pay full retail, if we can add value to it, and we do pay cash. We do buy on terms as well. So it's, again, just having all those options available. So
yeah, I love that.
I would just add to it. I mean, if we're buying, as Eddie would say, a scatter lot, we have definitive numbers, probably 20 to 50 cents on the dollar. You want to buy good value. You want to make sure you're protected and make, do right by everybody else. But like to Greg's point, if we're buying a piece of land that we can bust up, and depending on how many lots we can, because we know the values, we can pay more for that particular deal. Just depends on
the pricing. The low is land pricing is very subjective. So putting a value on it's one of the hardest things you can do. So low is always relative.
I got to put a quick time out on that though. We breezed over this way too fast. The question was, are they buying low? And Ben says, 20 to 50 cents on the dollar. When is the last time you as an investor who's watching this show bought an asset at 20 to 50 cents on the dollar? And so I'm just saying there might be some things you don't know that you might want to start to check out, right? That's low to me. So that definitely answers the question, right?
It's a different mindset than a house. I mean, it's just a different product.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
What's the story of somebody that sells land to you? What's their story?
I would say the vast majority of our sellers, they've owned the property for 30 years and they've never done anything with it. They've inherited, they've never done anything with it. Yeah. Good assets, good properties. We do our due diligence to make sure we verify that. But I think with land in particular, a lot of people don't know how to sell it. They don't want to deal with it. And it's not really causing them pain, so to speak. So they don't necessarily have to sell it. But we make the process very simple. We send out a signed agreement and we do what we say we're going to do. We close everything with an attorney, and they just get a check. And we make it very simple for a lot of people. And I think that's, one of our strengths. Other than that, I think it's just when you get, people will sell to us when the car, they need a new car, need a new roof, and that piece of land is just sitting there. We get a call.
Ben, what's the typical, Greg, what's the typical reaction when somebody sells their land? Are they in disbelief that they could actually sell it?
I think they're happy that they have actually gotten it done. It's something that they've tried to deal with potentially in the past. They might have even listed it with a realtor and couldn't get it sold. They might have tried to sell it, personally, and just didn't know what to do because they're out of state and just don't know what to do with land. So they're generally pretty excited to have it done. And like Ben said, we do exactly what we say we're going to do. So they're pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
It's great.
And one of the things we talked about the acquisition side, right? We're talking about buying low, and you say you make cash offers, but you also buy on terms. Regardless of the acquisition strategy, the selling on terms, right? That's what's ultimately creating a lot of this cash flow for you. Land is traditionally thought of as not a cash flowing asset, and your business model says otherwise, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, it's I think land is probably the easiest asset to cash flow. I mean, it's hard to cash flow a single family residence without a ton of capital behind you. I think land is the barrier of entry to purchase properties is lower because they're typically can buy property for less than a house. And on the flip side, the borrower side, it's hard to go into a bank and get a quote unquote land loan. I mean, it's not something that everybody can do. And we, like Eddie has talked about, we really try and underwrite character and how valuable or how sacred that borrower thinks that piece of land is. And there are a lot of great people who want to own a piece of land and they can't.
Yeah. Well, that barrier to entry is just like you said, going to a bank and borrowing on a piece of vacant land is just, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, and a lot of the banks we've dealt with and talked with and seen people who a lot of them are at least 20 to 25, maybe 30% down. They're arms for 5 to 7 years. I mean, there are a lot of different barriers that can cause issues.
It's regional, you know. I mean, there's a lot of financing for land out here.
Yeah.
But it's also in kind of the land that we deal in, which is, you know, not necessarily the cheapo land. It's rural acreage, but it's very desirable. And so, you know, it's different in different regions of the country, but the land business will work in a lot of parts of the country. People just don't think it will, because I know I bought land notes from guys in literally almost 50 states, probably. Right. So I've seen people operate in different ways, but you guys are buying at a good price when you pay cash. You may pay a lot more money if you get terms, but obviously you can make it very favorable to your position. What kind of down payment do you get when you resell land?
We're getting about 10% at least down now, anywhere from 10 to 20%, sometimes up to 30% down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one thing we've learned from you. I think the down payments are definitely a barrier of entry. We have a number of hoops we try and have our borrowers kind of jump through. We're not just going to sell a piece of land to somebody because they show up and knock on the door. So there's a process, because you want to make sure you get, you know, half the note, or at least a third of the value of the note is the borrower. So you want to make sure you don't just sell somebody for, you know, a couple bucks down and take the word that they're going to pay you.
Right.
All right. So you sell a piece of land for $100,000. You get $15,000 down. Is that fair? Average?
Yeah.
You carry $85,000 owner financing. What are the terms of those loans?
In general, it's going to be, we do about 20-year notes and about 9.9% interest, anywhere from 7.9 to 9.9. And I think they'll find too, it sounds like a high interest rate, but if folks actually do get loans from the bank for land, it's going to be a lot higher than folks are used to seeing on their primary residence. So it's pretty comparable to a bank, actually.
Yeah.
These are definitely non-QM loans being made, so non-qualified mortgages, right?
Right. Yeah.
And give the listeners who are watching to get a little bit better understanding of how that impacts you cash flow wise. That's about an $815 a month cash flow. That's a nice one, right? That's a good number.
Yeah. I mean, our notes in general are a little less than that, but it's we've decided to stretch them out for 20 years for most of our notes for a couple of reasons. One, it makes them more affordable for most people, and two, you know, we want to have a longer run for our portfolio. We don't want this to be over in 5 years or 6 years. You know, we want to kind of stretch it out and continue to build up the portfolio. And I think it just solves a number of different issues that seems to work for us.
Man. Yeah, and it kind of takes it back. You guys alluded to this in the regular show part, right? So somebody's doing the math in their head. They go, okay, well, these guys bought the property for, call it $50,000, right? They bought it at a good discount. Now they sold it for 100. They got 15,000 down. They have $800 a month. But whoa, hold on, Eddie. They got $35,000 still invested in that land.
Right.
Right. This is where I think we have been able to help you guys, because it's how do you recapitalize? How do you go take this note, which is a great asset, and go pull money out of it in various ways so that you can get your capital back and go, live to play another day, right?
100%.
That's magic. That's how you build a bank, right? Otherwise, unless you're just crazy rich, you just are going to run out of money.
Yeah, and you got to have money to fight another day.